Hello team, it's day 3 and just like we expected, the weather came over and it's been raining all day with a bit of breeze overnight, so that's given me some time to plan and tidy up the lab a bit. I'll take you out now that it's sort of stopped drizzling and we'll take a look and see what we got to. So, success. Did not blow away overnight. Panels held together from where we were yesterday. Got the door on. That was the last thing we did at 8:30 last night. And let's open him up. Might need to put a handle on him over time. But here's what we got up to. We are missing our piece number 26, 2 of. We've shot off an email to the supplier to see what we can do about that. But, all in all, we've done a pretty good job. I'm pretty happy with how we ended up in the end. So it's just number 26, our roof panels, and we'll get started on this flooring because that's really the next step. Back inside of the lab, and we've got to get planning on what we're going to do next. These are the last pieces that we had to put on, which were the gutter end bits. Supposedly, they get the water out of the gutter, put it into this little drain. If, I don't know, perhaps we can capture some rain out of it. We might look into that a bit later on, but for now, I'm just happy to have the rain just drip off it, or however it's getting in and around the place, because I'm pretty sure that some of the panels didn't line up correctly and we're going to get a bit of drips through. I might have a plan for that later. In the meantime, we need to think about that floor. Me and my partner decided this morning how we're sort of going to make the insides look, and I've drawn up a little bit of a plan so far on our friendly whiteboard, but in the interest of you guys, I might redraw it, make it nice looking. Run you through that. So here's the plan in more detail. As you can see, we've got our side length, which is 2500, says the book, and on the bottom we've got 3600, says the book once again. I went out and measured it. It's about 2350 on that side, 3450, something like that on that side. So that's okay. So what we've got, my partner really wanted a bench. She's got the dimensions of that. That's 600 by 1700. That will go to the left hand side as you walk in. This gap here is about 620, so it perfectly fits between the doors. And we'll look to mirror and replicate that over this side with a planter box number 1. That'll be 600 by 2000. And that's really helpful because we'll have a nice clear walkway in to planter box number 2. Planter box number 2 will be a bit shorter at 1500 by 600, and we'll go alongside the bench. I've had a look at some local hardware retailers, and they've got some shelving options that measure 1600 by 550, and we think that'll go really well along the back of the greenhouse. So you can walk in, there's your row of little germinating plants doing their thing, and here's some planters that you'll have on either side springing up juvenile plants, or just the ones that can't grow in the cold climate out here. And that's essentially going to be all walkway through here, and I'll go into a bit more detail about what my plan is with the planter boxes. So at the moment, as you know, we've got the pallets going across. What I'm gonna look to do is take away the slats that are in the planters, so we can have it as a deep trench essentially that we can build on top of. These will be planked up on the sides so that we don't get any leaching of dirt or water or whatever also poke plenty more holes in the weed matting so that the water can just go straight through without ripping into all the rest of the wood that's down there. I know it's a bit risky, but I'd much rather be able to use the planks that were here in the walkway areas. I'll look to replicate that in planter box number 1 where the pallet is too. So that leaves some more planks to go underneath bench and underneath the shelf and walkway side of things over that side. And we should have a nice, well, more stable walking way to go onto. Also at the hardware store, I've been looking at our range of different flooring options, and it looks like I've got an idea for some children play equipment matting that's made out of recycled tyres. That'll be about 30mm thick. They're nice and heavy, and we'll look to have those around the walking areas as well as under the bench and shelves. So, essentially, all the walkways under the bench and shelves will be covered with these 1 by 1 meter mats. I'm going to sort of just roughly draw them out here. Let's go there as well. I guess 2, 3.5. Let's probably not have that there. We'll make it 3.5 to go to there. And 2 half pieces underneath the shelves. So in the end, I think we're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 different floor mats that we'll put together, and that will pretty much line us up. I imagine I'll need to trim a bit off the sides here because we've got 600 over 2500. So we're going to have an overlaying, we're going to have 1.9 to deal with, and with that case, either leave it overhanging underneath the far side of the greenhouse, or I trim it back so it stays inside. Haven't decided which way to go with that yet, but I'm gonna need to acquire the mats, make sure I can get the slats out of the planter box areas and put them in where the high traffic area is going to be. That's the flooring plan. Now, this is always up for change, and well, like my building methods you've seen before, is subject to whatever troubles we run into. But that's the plan. Let's see how we go. So another day, we're back in the lab. It's a little bit nicer outside today. It's not going to rain as much, I don't think, today. It should clear up. And in the meantime, I've gone to pick out some flooring options for us. That's going to sit on top of our pallet. I've picked out some play equipment crash mat. It's about 30mm thick, 1 by 1 meter square, and should do nicely over the pallets, and without too much hassle under the feet. They're a bit heavy and a bit durable. They're made from recycled rubber from tyres, so that's good news. I've also picked out with my partner our options for shelving and the table. She had one in mind originally for what she wanted to work with inside, but as we were at the hardware shop, this other one was available, a little bit cheaper, and was there, so we didn't have to go pick it up from another vendor. So, what's the next step? Next step is to rip up some of those pallet planks and put it in the high traffic areas and secure them down into the other pallets, as well as the loose planks that we'd sourced before. that's the plan today. We'll see how much we get out because I'm scheduled to head out a bit later on for some shop runs. But let's see how we do, and I'll keep you in the loop. So you might have seen me get a little bit frustrated before at the pallets. One reason is always listen and remember when you're playing with exposed nails to watch out, because unfortunately I've just had a little rip in the shirt. It's a bit of a shame. I like this shirt. It's good to her. Anyway, yeah, watch out, be careful, because you're gonna get snagged, and if you can get rid of the nails before they become a problem, do that. Alright team, so here's where we're at. I've gaffed down some of these mats to help with its staying together. Next thing we're going to do is cut out these excess bits from where they're sitting off the edge of where we're going to have our planter boxes. So just slice it up that way. We're going to try and make it nice and uniform, so I've got measuring tape over that side. We're going to measure 600 out from the wall to generally where the mat's going to be. Give that a chop. Hopefully use this straight edge line and mark out 600 with some of the nails that are hanging around so that we can have our nice straight line. That should help out with the pieces that we're missing on the far end, and that's the plan. So let's get to it. Mid-afternoon, let's see what we got to. So I ended up getting away with 6 pads in the end with a little bit of offcut. This back here isn't the best, but it's where the shelves are going to be situated, so it doesn't need to look super pretty. In the meantime, I've also put some blanking boards on the side of the pallets so that when we do fill it with soil and such for planter boxes, then it's not going to be too detrimental. Or where the water's going to be seeping through, or the soil is just going to go everywhere. It should stop a fair bit of that, which, who knows, in the end we might weed mat the inside lining when the time comes. So that's pretty much all we can really get to for flooring. I'm pretty happy with the end result. It's nice and springy and firm, as well as it doesn't have any holes or cracks or spots where you might roll your ankle if you step on it. Pretty happy with that. Had the partner come and test it out because it'll be where she spends the most time compared to me, and she was gave it the thumbs up. So that's where we're at to. I think, since as it is mid-afternoon, I might give it a go to build the desk. First things first, clear the workspace. We've got one more mat that we've got spare, because I was able to cut out 6 into the shape that we needed. This is going to go here, I think. And time to open the new box. Let's get that to go. So this should be pretty easy. It seems to be your typical shelf style build. It's just going to be a bit bigger and probably a bit heavier. So, haven't decided whether I'm going to build this in the glass house yet or build it out here and then move it. Seems as it's a bit wide, maybe too wide for the door. Might try and build this one outside, but we'll lay out all the pieces so we can categorize it and figure out what we're going to do next. So how's it all work? We've got legs, the side pieces, and that will just slide into place rather than having screws or anything to deal with. And I think I will build this outside because I don't want to try and fit it through the door. Awesome. Alright team, through some gentle persuasion with old mate hammer, we were able to get that bottom shelf and the top plate, top board in. Job done. Happy days. And I think you guys should be able to whip up something like this at home if you need to. There wasn't any screws or fixings that we needed to put in the sides. It just sort of slots together in these two sort of slot ways, and was relatively easy to build. We'll look to probably build our shelving across the back here because I've got a bit of time up my sleeve, and I'll do a little video on that as well. But our desk is in. Partner should be happy. It's at a good height to work on. Happy days. So, first things first, clear your workspace, lay out all the components, and get started really. Like you saw, we had our issue with our greenhouse not coming with all the bits. They've since rectified that and they're sending some new things along the way, which include those missing pieces. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But it's always good to make sure you've got all the components you need before you start building. Yeah. So, shelf. A little bit heavier than the table, which you'd expect. But it's got metal shelves, which is going to be perfect for any future plants that we'll have on the shelf, so we don't have our timber rotting away and having a disaster in a couple months' time after just buying shelves we thought were appropriate. So let's open her up and we'll lay out all the pieces. Quick cut to that. So we have 4 legs and about 1800 high. Some middle plank bits, these ones, they'll sit between our shelves. Our end holders of the shelves, long ones and short ones, 8 a piece. And of course, 4 pieces of shelves itself. So that's all well and good. But I've got a problem, and I'll show you why. Let's take a piece of leg and head out to our lovely greenhouse. Lovely new bench, holding all my things instead of being on the ground. Good stuff. So, I've got our leg on the ground, and that's our top bit. All well and good until you realise she's taller than the roof. So we're going to need to trim a bit off the top and have our shelves a bit shorter. So if we cut it off about there, we'll have a better time. And I think that's a pretty good height for shelves. It's not 1800 high, that'd be sort of super nice, but our greenhouse is not tall enough to do that. And short of raising up the greenhouse to accommodate it, I'd much rather chop down the legs to accommodate the greenhouse. So I'll need to chop down 2 of the legs to make sure they fit. I think I might keep the others at the 1800 high to save myself the work. And who knows, we might be able to hang stuff off that later on. Oh, but James, how will you know which legs to cut when you are going to cut the legs? Only 2 of them. Well, luckily for me, all the legs are identical. So it's all about finding 2 pieces that are going to be the short side and 2 pieces that are going to be the long side. You can sort of arrange them as needed. That's how you do it. Anyway, what am I going to cut them with? Even better question. I don't have a angle grinder. That sucks. So, what have I got? Nothing in that shelf. Let's take a look over here. I might have a in the box hacksaw. Hacksaw's great for cutting through metal, and I've got some metal to cut. I've measured it up. It's going to be 1550 high at the short side, so I'll measure that out on our length. Anyway, let's chop some up and we'll get to that. Okay, team, good news. We've chopped off our little bit after measuring 1550 the right way. Clears it quite nicely, and I'm happy to have the first shelf, or the top shelf, come to about here, which, as you can probably tell, is about my eye line, but it's my partner's shoulder height. So that's what we'll do. And once we get the feet on it, it might even sit just a touch higher and be pretty close, I think. So that's good news. So it's the same deal as the table almost. These will slot into the grooves like such and just sort of hold themselves in under its own weight. Be sure to space the shelves out the way you want. Easy way to do it, count the holes. Put your plonk in, or put your little short ones in first, because it's easier to make sure that they're nice and the same height. And then put your long bits in. After the long bits are in, you can lock it off with these top bits, and then it's all ready to go for your shelf side. So I've got a few more long bits to go, and the locking pins. Super easy. It's looking good so far. That short side has come up really well. Pretty happy with that. And we'll go from there. So here we are, the final product of our labours. We've got our shelves on, our runners in, our neighbour playing Whitney Houston very loudly, and that's pretty much all I can get up to on the greenhouse build. I'll let my partner take over from here and stock these shelves up with some lovely plants that should get the benefit of the sun and the shelter from our seemingly sturdy greenhouse. We've got some offcuts of metal there that we can use for a job later on, and our table's already starting to get a workout. So in our little holes here we'll have our planter boxes, pretty much to where I've cut out the floor matting, and luckily that butts up right up against the new table that we've put in, and gives us plenty of room for our shelves as well. So it's all coming together as per the plan. How strange is that? Strange for me anyway. That's where we're up to. Thank you very much for coming along the ride of this greenhouse. We've got our shelving in, our table done, our hole in the roof, which is gonna get sorted out as soon as we get the parts delivered, and that's where we're at. So thank you very much for coming along this little ride through the trials and mistakes as well as the little triumphs we've had. So I'll let you go for now, and we'll have an update on the next video and the next little project when we get them started. I don't know what that's going to be next, but I'll let you know. Might be a cooking one, we'll see. Anyway, all the best. Attack those little jobs you've got at home, and I wish you all the best success. Maybe, hopefully be a bit easier than what I got through, but may it be the best you've made. Bye for now. Moist Tasman, signing off.